Straight facts, no chaser. It appears Mr. Dennis Prager wants to have a battle of wits with black people. Let's get it.
So I deal with the lies and give you some truths that in many cases blow people's minds. They just can't believe it. How many Africans were imported as slaves into the United States, both pre-United States and post-United States?
The answer is 388,000. And here are two sources. Now, what is your answer?
Actually, the best number that they have come up with is 305,326.
The best number, they. For someone who doesn't like pronouns, you sure do use them as sources. Who is they? I gave you two credible sources. So 305,326 is the number you say? Then why can't we find one source anywhere with those numbers? Not the Library of Congress, Time Magazine, the New York Times, History Channel. What source do you have? None of these comport with the number of 326. They comport with 388,000 plus. Now that we proved that was a lie, how many Europeans came as indentured servants here in that time frame? 216. So he makes it seem like it's just such a little number. 388, 216. That still means they had more of us than them. So how does that make you less of an evil bastard? I mean, do some homework. This shit's too easy to prove. Dennis Prager. What next? You want to continue with this battle of wits? Let's get it.
Now, how many slaves were brought into Latin America by other countries during the same period that 305,000 were brought into the United States? How many do you think? 12.5 million.
He would be right on that one. Good job. But riddle me this. By 1861, America had more slaves than any other place in the Western Hemisphere. How, pray tell, do you think we ended up having more slaves than the rest of the Western Hemisphere, Mr. Prager? What next? Let's get it.
There was only one thing unique about slavery in the West. It raised the issue of the morality of slavery, ferociously debated it, and finally abolished it there, before it was abolished by any other civilization.
Slavery was abolished in Spain in 1811, Danish West Indies, 1846, France, 1848, Portugal, 1858, Netherlands, the Dutch Caribbean colonies, 1861, all before America did it in 1865. What next? Let's get it.
If you care about moral truth rather than, for example, promoting America hatred, you must recognize and you must teach that America was one of the first slave-holding societies to abolish slavery. This even includes Africa. Cornell professor Sandra Green, a black scholar of African history, notes, quote, slavery in the United States ended in 1865, but in West Africa it was not legally ended until 1875, and then it stretched on unofficially until almost World War I. In other words, the whites of the United States abolished slavery before the blacks of Africa, or at least West Africa, abolished slavery of other Africans.
So let me get this straight, Dennis Prager. Slavery ended in 1875 in West Africa, unofficially until 1914. That's what you said, right? You quoted the actual professor. You misquoted her because you got to finish off the rest of what she said. Slavery continued because many people weren't aware that it had ended, similar to what happened in Texas after the United States Civil War. Right? But you didn't say that. Now, let's get to the reality of America. You want to give white men so much credit for doing so evil, but they just came together and thought that it was just wrong and greater minds prevailed. Some more bullshit, some more bullshit, and some more bullshit that you wanted to feed everybody. But in reality, slavery ended in 1865. And you know it wasn't June 19th, it was actually December 6th. Now, here's the thing. That was the official date. America had an unofficial date as well, which you didn't tell anybody about that unofficial date. What was America's unofficial date? 1964 for the Civil Rights Act. 1965 for the Voting Rights Act. So when we get down to it, ours went from 1865 to 1965. And many people who were alive at that time and adults who went through it all said it took about 10 years after that for them to no longer feel those effects that they had during Jim Crow. So we're looking at anywhere between 100 to 110 years it took after slavery ended. And you want to talk about West Africa? It only took them 39 years. Once again, white people just trying their damnedest to make you stupid. And listen to what he says that you guys are if you don't believe him.
Part of the left's mission is to make you ignorant, and they've succeeded.
Let's grade our history test. After both of us did thorough research before producing our videos, I got an A+, and Dennis Prager got a D-. If listening to the left gives you A's and listening to Dennis Prager gives you D-, why go to PragerU? Save your money. You can be stupid all by yourself. It amazes me on what people on the right will follow.
I figured you out, Mr. Prager. You're a racist. And what you're trying to do is separate two things that should not be separated. You're talking about the United States, North America, and separating them from the Western Hemisphere when you talk about from the very onset, U.S. brought 326 slaves. We're so much better than the rest of the Western Hemisphere that brought 12.5 million. The Western Hemisphere ended slavery, that would be Spain, in 1811. Instead of giving Spain their credit, you lumped yourself in with the Western Hemisphere again. So wait a minute. When we talk about bringing slaves to the Western Hemisphere, you separate yourself. When we talk about ending slavery and it being Spain in 1811, you include yourself in the Western Hemisphere. Which one is it? Are you going to continue doing this shit? Include yourself when it's good, exclude yourself when it's bad. Why don't you just take credit for it? Man up. Instead of fucking lying every fucking 5 minutes. This whole video is chock full of half-truths and complete lies. And you got a straight face talking about you're intellectual, that you're smart, and these college kids don't know what they're talking about. And lo and behold, you're the biggest dipshit in the room. D-? Bruh, the unmitigated gall of white men. To believe so powerfully that they deserve something without ever working for it. This man thinks he deserves a university, yet he's a dropout, and he can't even find facts after doing research. He got a D- in his own fucking test. How the fuck you pull that off? This is what you get on the right. I speak facts, straight facts, no chaser. Fuck your feelings.